What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today's video, we are here with the second injury report for the Lions and for the Denver Broncos today. I think we're making history today. This may be the biggest injury report I've ever seen, ever. Like, this is huge. You know what? I'm going to save it. This thing is like gigantic. Plus, we got to hear from the coordinators today, Dave Fitt, Anthony Lynn, who actually gave some real cool answers, Aaron Glenn. So there was a lot going on. So let's get it started.
The city's been down, and it found a way to get up. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, all right? And we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. We're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Welcome, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. How's everybody doing today? Hope you all are having a good day. Shout out to everybody that was in the chat last night. We went through the all 22. If you missed it, you can definitely watch it back. We were on a long time last night. It was a lot of fun. So again, shout out to everybody that was in that show. I appreciate it. But today we're back with the injury report. We also have a show a little bit later on Last Second Sports. So it's going to be on about 9 o'clock. We have a special guest. Last Second Sports, check us out. We're going to be live for Last Second Dose on Rad's channel. But we got a special guest tonight. So I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. Like, you just don't. It's going to be a good show. Now, the draft talk is starting to come around a lot right now as we're kind of winding through the rest of this season for the Lions and around the NFL. So I just want to let you guys know that me and Rad are dropping exclusive content, Last Second Dose content for members right now currently on Patreon, which the link should be in the description. If it's not, that's my fault, but it should be in the description of this video. And also, you could just become a member on this channel, the All-Pro member. We changed the titles of the memberships over here, so you can also get the exclusive content that way. We already dropped our Aiden Hutchinson first look, and Kayvon Thibodeau is probably going to be next up, as me and Rad went through that today, watching some Thibodeau, and we got some interesting takes on the guy after seeing him. And, we'll continue to do this. We're still getting ideas. I was talking to Wes the last couple of days, some of his ideas, one of our Patreon members, so you can join a real cool community there. If you're down, get into this now. You got an opportunity to do so, man. Link in the description, or you can become a channel member as becoming an All-Pro member. And for any of the people that are already a member of this channel, check the community section, because that's where we're dropping our content. But now, let's dive into this injury report, because, man, I think we made history today. Like, this thing is huge. 21 players are on the Lions injury report. 21 players. That is insane. And that's not including a couple of guys that are, well, Bobby Price, he's now on the COVID list. I guess we'll just start there. Bobby Price is on the COVID list. And that's a little bit concerning because Dan Campbell said this was not COVID related. I guess it was diagnosed as the flu. That's what Jared Goff told us yesterday. But Bobby Price, he just hit the COVID list. The good thing is we haven't heard anybody else being hit with this, but the Lions are playing extremely cautious. There's a lot of players that you will see on this list listed as not injury related, and it's likely that the Lions are playing it super cautious and just holding players out of practice, probably keeping them at home. We know yesterday they did it way different. They had offense in the morning and they had defense in later in the day. Jared Goff didn't go to practice even though he was feeling much better. He didn't go in yesterday. He stayed from home, and he said that he was able to participate in everything aside from the walkthrough, all the Zoom calls, things like that. So I'm assuming that's what the Lions are doing with a lot of guys right now, and a lot of these are probably extremely cautionary just to make sure that no one else gets sick. Tomorrow will be a big day. It's unfortunate I'm not getting as much practice on the field, but where we're at in the season, the good thing you can take out of this is that they're getting rest. And as long as they can all get the information still through Zoom, then we should be okay. Let's just throw it up there. Now, I know this looks different than usual. Usually these are all typed out. I just took this and just, moved it over here because first off, there's a ton of names, and I'm sure I'll mess some things up if I try to type in all of these names. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna use this for today's injury report. I know it looks different. We'll just mix it up a little bit. All right. If y'all noticing this, that means you've been here for the other injury report videos. So shout out to you. So we gonna mix it up a little bit. But let's I guess we'll roll through it because there's a lot of players to go through. Rashad Berry is a new addition to this list. Just look how many players on here that it says not listed. That means they were not on the injury report yesterday. So they were fine yesterday. Well, he was not listed yesterday, but today he had no practice for not injury related. So that to me kind of means the Lions are probably playing this cautionary. I would bet that he didn't go to the building. He was probably at home. I mean, we didn't really get any updates on that, but he was probably at home going through Zoom calls. Rashad Berry did take some snaps at outside linebacker last week. The Lions need the depth because they don't have Trey Flowers, who's on IR, and of course, Romeo, who's out for the season. That continues us down to Michael Brockers with a knee injury. Illness is still on here. As you can see, not injury related for no practice today. And at the bottom, it says not injury related is a coaching decision. So I would guess, again, Michael Brockers probably didn't go to practice today because the coach said, hey, stay back. We got to make sure we have our depth. So we're going to hopefully get through this week and we can stay healthy through this week of practice into Sunday's game. I mean, we got our backs against the wall. Like hey, we got to we got to be super resilient this week because I don't know who we're going to see on Sunday. Honestly, we don't know who we're going to see on Sunday. But again, the Lions are playing it very cautious, so I'd say that's the good thing. Austin Bryant, shoulder injury. Now, he's actually dealing with an injury here. It does not say not injury related, so I would bet that he just did not practice today. I don't know if he showed up or not, but it doesn't sound like it's one of those things that's actually illness related. He's just dealing with a shoulder injury. Yesterday, he practiced, even though it was more of a walkthrough. I don't know what the differences were. I would assume it's probably pretty similar. There's a lot of unknowns right now with this situation, but he did not practice for the Lions today, and that's also probably part of the reason that they were probably like, okay, let's make sure Rashad Berry doesn't get this illness that's going around because we're going to need this depth, especially if a guy like Austin Bryant can't play in this game. Taylor Decker, another guy, not injury related, but he didn't practice today. He wasn't even listed yesterday. Probably the same thing. TJ Hawkinson, oh, I skipped one. Charles Harris, same exact thing going on there. Again, making sure they're okay. TJ Hawkinson, now he's dealing with a hand injury. He did not practice today. Hawkinson did kind of allude to that he expects to play in Sunday against Denver. He's like, nothing else has held me out, so the hand injury isn't going to basically hold me out for this game. He said it just kind of swelled up after the game, but there's no, I guess, broken bones. But he did not practice today, but he was there. When they went through the pressers, you could see that he was in the building. Will Holden, again, probably same thing here, just to make sure that they have the depth at that tackle position. Also, speaking of that, Darren Apollo has been re-signed to the practice squad, the offensive tackle. So we added some depth back to the practice squad with Darren Apollo back. Okay, so I would just point that out. Jonah Jackson, again, same thing, illness, not injury related. Just want to point this out one more time to kind of, make clear on how I'm looking at this. If it says NIR, as you can see, not injury related coaching decision, it's probably just a very cautionary approach. If it doesn't say NIR and it just says illness, they're not practicing, may just be sick, so they're not there. But I'm thinking that some of these guys that say, maybe illness or says something else and then it says NIR, it's probably just the coaches saying, okay, we're not going to have you go to the building. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's kind of how I'm assuming that this is set up. It doesn't have the coach's decision next to it. He's just not feeling well, and that one's just, okay, maybe he's actually not feeling well, so he had to stay home. I don't know for sure. I'm thinking the non-injury related means, yeah, they're probably fine, but they're just like, yeah, let's stay home, make sure we have depth at these spots. Jamar actually may not be feeling well, so we'll keep an eye on that one, especially with the Swift situation, who I'm not sure if he's going to play this weekend. Anyways, let's continue down. Tommy Kramer, not injury related. Let's see the outside linebacker, not injury related. Ali McNeil, illness. As you can see, this one doesn't say not injury related, but he did not practice today, so maybe he's not feeling extremely well either. Matt Nelson, ankle and non-injury related. This was the coach's decision, so he's been dealing with that ankle injury. I believe, he was limited yesterday, but today no practice, so he probably wasn't in the building. Julian Okwara, dealing with his ankle injury. He's had no practice. See, this one is an injury, so he's not been practicing. He's doing an injury, which is probably one of the lines to make sure that Rashad Berry is hopefully good to go. And other guys like Jesse, making sure those guys are good to go, because if Austin Bryant and Julian are both dealing with injuries, plus you don't have Flowers and Romeo, you could be extremely low on depth at those spots. Levi, here's a new addition. He must not be feeling well, as he's listed with the illness. He did not practice today. John Pennicini, it was the coach's decision to not practice today. Jalen Reese-Maben, he's dealing with the shoulder injury. This popped up last week. He didn't practice all last week. He didn't play last week. And as you can see, he had no practice today either. And had to give Josh Woods an opportunity, which Aaron Glenn said, he's played so well on special teams that he's earned an opportunity. And Derek Barnes is going to be out there a lot. Of course, you have AA battery. Duracell is going to be out there. Good thing we don't see him on there, knock on wood. Penei Sewell, not injury related. Again, coach's decision. He's had the shoulder injury going back to Thanksgiving. Illness showed up last week, and now it's the coach's decision. Again, probably not there. DeAndre Swift, he's dealing with a shoulder injury. We knew about this one. Campbell was hoping that maybe he'd come back this Sunday, but right now that just seems straight up in the air. Like, we have no idea. I don't know if Swift is going to play this weekend. I would say I'd slightly lean towards he's probably not playing because he hasn't practiced these last 2 days. We could sure use him back out there, but we won't without him. We found a way. We did things different. We put St. Brown in the backfield. We got creative with it. That's why it's huge that Hawkinson's able to play this weekend. We need him out there, especially if Swift can't go. Big V, illness. No participation. It's crazy how big this is. I feel like I forgot one. Did I forget one? Tommy Kramer. I forgot Tommy Kramer. His is not injury related, probably because of the Big V situation. Make sure you got your backup healthy because Big V's not feeling well, and they're probably doing things in groups, so I got to believe that one guy's not feeling well in the group. They're probably, okay, let's be a little cautious with some of these other dudes here. Nick Williams, not injury related. It's the coach's decision. He didn't show up, and of course, you ended off with Jared Goff, who actually did return. The one guy that says full participation, everybody else says no practice today. But Jared Goff returned to practice in full, and he said he felt well. So the hope is that it passes fast and that Friday maybe we get some great news and you're seeing a whole bunch of practicing Friday. The Lions are taking another day to just make sure that guys are all right and just play it very careful to see how many players they can have this weekend. But this is massive, and you got to take it this way. You got to make sure everybody's healthy, and you got to take care of the health first. So this is a massive injury report. We'll see what it looks like tomorrow. Well, only 5 of these 21 injuries, or no practice, is actually injuries. Only 5. And Swift and Hockenson, Austin, Julian, right? Only 5 of these guys. So it's pretty wild. But anyways, that's the Lions side of the injury report. Let's move over to the Broncos side, which has gotten much better today. Theirs is much smaller. It looks like a normal injury report. And as you guys can see, Bradley Chubb and Shelby Harris both returned to practice today in limited fashion. As we said yesterday, Bradley Chubb, he's dealing with that shoulder injury that happened against Kansas City. Definitely seemingly trending in the right direction to play this weekend, as now he has limited participation. I would definitely bet that Bradley Chubb is out. It does play in this game against the Lions. Shelby Harris, their defensive end, dealing with an ankle injury. He also improved to limited participation. Melvin Gordon is expected to play in this game. That's the reports that are now coming out about the running backs. So Melvin Gordon's expected to be in this one. Vic Fangio was asked about that situation. Is it about how Javante's playing, or is it about Melvin's health? And he said it's more about Melvin's health. So he is trending, again, seemingly in the right direction to be able to play this week. Now, back-to-back days of limited participation. So we should see that group 2 running backs with over 600 yards rushing each. Javante's played real well recently when he's had to play and take a bigger role on, but now there should have both of these running backs out there. We touched on that a little bit yesterday. Mike Purcell, full participation. Bobby, as you can see, he also improved the full participation. They're starting right tackle, and the rest of it has stayed the same as yesterday. You got Mike Purcell at nose tackle. You have Mike Ford, Malik Reed in there, who is also another really nice pass rusher. Caden Stearns, the backup safety. Bridgewater, full participation once again, and Andrew Beck, the fullback. So, yeah, I mean, their injury report looks pretty good. They got some improvements at the top with some big names. Chubb seems like he's probably going to play this weekend. Shelby Harris had a big improvement day, and of course, Melvin Gordon is trending towards playing this weekend. So they're getting right. They're getting good to go, and the right tackle. Like, they're looking good on their injury report. Us, on the other hand, ours looks wild. But I would just warn you that it's going to be very cautious. Lions are taking a very cautious approach to a lot of this. And as long as you can still give them all the information that they need, maybe they can get back out there on Friday. You know, it's at that point in the season where I don't think you need to go out and hit each other and things like that in practice. I think a lot of it is just the learning. It's more of the mental side. It's more of the walkthrough side. So, yeah, it's going to be a big day tomorrow. But if it stays similar tomorrow, it still doesn't mean that all these guys are going to be out. They could just have them active on Sunday. Anthony Lynn talked about our offensive performance last week, and it was a good week. Like, we scored 20 points in the first half. We've only scored that once this season. Go back to week 1. So to score points was nice. Hawkins said, man, it was nice to do that on a Sunday. Basically, he's like, man, we've done this in practice. You know, we've had spurts, but to do it in a game, it was nice. And Anthony Lynn credited a couple things. He said, first off, we limited penalties. Lions only had 3. That's great. You went from 10 to 3. That'll help. 3 penalties for 11 yards. He said 2 of those were delay of game. 1 of them was intentional.
Well, we felt like, you know, if we don't stop ourselves, we feel like people have a hard time stopping us. So, you know, there was no aggressive penalties, no pre-snap penalties. There was a couple of the delay games on the offense side of the ball, but one of those was intentional.
I guess the defense gave them a look, and he's like, it was probably the right decision to take the delay of game. It was that one where Goff was kind of like this, and he didn't like hurry up and snap it. You guys might know. We saw the All-22 yesterday. Khalif goes out to the left side, and he's like looking, and he's just like, okay, let's hold off here and take the delay of game on this play. He's like, it was a look that they were showing against our thing, and I know the play clock was running low, so a lot of it's communication. I know for sure the one did happen on our last drive when we took it, but the clock was already stopped, and I'm pretty sure the other one happened in the first half, right before halftime. So they were both, I think, kind of in that 2-minute drill, getting the communication through, and you still don't want to have those. There was actually, I think right before the touchdown play, Goff ran off to the sideline and asked Dan Campbell for the play call right in his ear. The communication thing, we've had some issues with that this season, but that's what he attributed a lot of the delay of game to. Jared Goff can make all the throws. He's a very big trust guy. That's something, I think, maybe over a month ago, that we heard from Anthony Lynn when he's like, man, it's all about trust with him, getting trust with his receivers. But he's like, man, we've been doing this for 12 weeks. It's time. It's time.
To me, that was one of his best throws of the night, was that throw right there. I mean, that was a small window, and that was a big boy throw, and he made it. So that was nice.
And TJ Hockenson talked about Goff today, saying how important the timing was. And you could see it in the routes. Everything is about timing within this offense. Things staying on time, knowing where you're going to be offensively has been extremely important to finding success in this pass game. And I think we saw some of it in the Chicago game. It's just we really destroyed some of our drives with penalties. But the good thing is we didn't do that in this one. Exactly what Anthony Lynn said when he said this against Denver. If we don't stop ourselves, basically with the penalties or probably even the turnovers, I like our chances. The injury report is very concerning, but I get what he's saying. Like, yeah, Denver has a real good defense. He would give credited, you know, obviously the secondary, which has been fantastic. It is under Fangio all the time, but the safeties can wreck a game. You know, they can help in the run game. He did bring up a pretty interesting point. He was in this division, so he might be a little confident because he's played against these guys a while, and some of these players have been here for a while, and of course, you know what Vic Fangio's about, so he may be pretty confident because of that. Now, if you look at his record when he was with LA, it's not the best record. He's 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4. He's 3 and 5. 3 and 5 against 2017 through 2020. Either way, maybe he's got a little inside information. Okay, we see you. He said it's been intentional for us to look to push the ball down the field with some of these play designs that they're coming up with. And he said he's just got to make sure that the quarterback is not worried about turnovers. With Amon-Ra St. Brown, who had a huge game, the 10 receptions, he said, yeah, coming into the game, like probably their game plan coming in, he's like, we felt like Amon-Ra could have a big game. And you can see the Lions were trying to dial up a lot of plays for St. Brown. We talked about the way the Lions got creative with St. Brown. You can see it in the All-22 if you check it out from yesterday. The Lions got super creative. I mean, they lined him up in the backfield. They lined him up on the line of scrimmage. They put him behind the line of scrimmage. They did a lot of things. They put him at Z. I mean, they moved him around the slot. They played him all over the field. And I think a lot of it had to do with missing Swift. They got him super involved. They had a lot of timing routes set to go his way. There were more opportunities there than we even hit on, right? But he still had 10 receptions, and he's like, but I would also bet that Pat Pete wouldn't have been playing that soft in coverage on that final play.
Well, we have a good chance at success here?
We felt that way going into the game, absolutely. I don't think Patrick Peterson would have played that far off, but yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have Patrick Peterson. That ended up being a huge not have for this Vikings defense because their quarterbacks are arguably their weakest spot defensively, especially without Patrick Peterson. You know, Bashaw Breeland had a lot of struggles in this game one-on-one. You know, we got him on Hockenson a couple times. We got him on Josh Reynolds, and he got open. Of course, on that last play, St. Brown had that sit down in the end zone. He said Pat Pete wouldn't have been playing that soft in coverage. So the Lions, they attacked it. Finally, he talked about Ryan McCollum, who definitely could be playing this weekend. It sounds like there's a very legitimate shot that he's our starting center this week. That'll be a third starting center this season. He did bring up that, yes, we have seen him a few snaps, and he said he looked good in the few snaps that he came in when Evan Brown went down. I don't remember what that game was. We've said it a couple of times. But yeah, Evan Brown did come in, but Ryan McCollum has come in this season. Basically, we're going to find out. We're going to find out how smart this player is on the field. So he kind of made it sound like we're going to be seeing Ryan McCollum and that we probably won't be getting Evan Brown back this weekend. So it sounds like it's going to be Colin, which probably means that Patrick is going to be elevated off of the practice squad for this weekend's game to have some more depth there. But we'll see. I'm not counting out Evan Brown. I know the COVID stuff is kind of crazy, trying to figure out who's going to be able to play and who's not going to be able to play. If he can go, I'm definitely sure they're going to bring him up. But McCollum, we've seen a few snaps. The benefit that you can take away is that you get to learn about what depth do I have and who can I go forward with? You're getting to learn that at a lot of positions. So that's the benefit you can take away from this. And that's what Ryan McCollum may have a shot to do in Sunday's game. I mean, now Aaron Glenn, we also got to hear from Aaron Glenn, the defense coordinator. We know he always gives good stuff. He said he was proud of the way they played on third down. For 1 for 6 on third down in the first half. Of course, they allowed no 2-point conversions, which was absolutely huge. I mean, those were game changing to not allow a sink. What, they went for it 3 times? I think they did 3 times, 2 or 3. I think they did 3 times though, and we stopped all of them because one was an incomplete, one was a Derek Barnes stop, one was an Alex Anzalone stop. So yeah, I think 3 2-point conversions. They picked up none of those. He's like, they're the best team in the NFL and not allowing sacks. We had 3 sacks. Shout out to Charles Harris, who was getting after. It was really a lot of Charles Harris in this one, but some other guys were helping too. But it was a lot of Charles Harris kind of dominating his one-on-ones.
We had him held him for one for 6. I think overall in the red zone, they like the 5th ranked red zone team in the league. Take away the 2-point conversions. We were 3 for 6. If you add the 2-point conversions, they were 3 of 9. You look at sacks, they were the best team as far as getting their quarterback sacked, and we had 3 of them. Obviously, there's some things in the second half that disappointed me as far as the way that we operated. You know, some things that we've identified, we talked to our players about. And I would say the number one thing is when you have a team down by that many points at that time, especially a good team, man, you have got to understand that they're going to come out with no huddle, and we can't get to a point that we're just dead dog tired.
This was a learning opportunity. He said in that Minnesota game in the second half, when a team is down like that, they were down 14 points, he said you have to know that they're going to come out and run no huddle. Hey, if you're a Michigan football fan, you know all about the no huddle. He said you have to know that they're going to come out and they're going to go to the no huddle. So we have to be better prepared for that. We can't go out there and get super tired and be exhausted. We got to be prepared for that happening, that they're going to come out of the half and they're going to go right to this tempo offense. And when he brought that up, I kind of remembered. You don't notice it necessarily on all 22, but I do remember that now after he said it, that they have to be prepared for that. But he's like, I'm sure next time we'll be prepared for that. You know, we'll learn this, we'll be prepared. The good thing is it didn't cost us the game. I mean, look, it was a close one, but it didn't cost the game. It's always better to learn with the win, I feel like. I mean, yeah, the loss is like, oh, we lost, so we really got to learn from this, but it's always better to learn and still get the dub. This Denver offense, I mean, he told his players that it could be better than this Minnesota team that we just played offensively. When you look at pure position by position talent that they have, they got a lot of talent. Like we said in the last injury report, running backs, I mean, having Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams is really tough. I mean, they got good tight ends, Noah Fant. Of course, the Hawkinson, Noah Fant back at Iowa. And then the receivers, you got Jerry Jeudy out there. I mean, they got a lot of talent. Sutton, they got talent on this offense, that's for sure. That's probably why there's been so much heat going towards their offensive coordinator. There's been some heat going on Bridgewater. But at the skill positions, they got a lot of talent. He's like their running back duo, forcing the most missed tackles in the NFL as a duo. So that means, hey, we got to be swarming to the football. Our defensive backs got to help us. But he's right. They do have a lot of talent. And, of course, on the other side of the ball, our offense, even though Anthony Lynn says, hey, if we don't stop ourselves, I think we got a shot. Because really, if you think about it, even against some of the tougher defense we played early in the season, like a Chicago when we came in, we moved the ball extremely well. We just kept stopping ourselves. So I do agree, but Denver still does have a real good defense, like we said, that held Kansas City to 16 points offensively. Like, they still have a really good defense, especially pass defense. So maybe that means we could eat in the run game. Josh Woods, he said, heck, you may even see some Anthony Pittman because he's been helping us. So maybe we get an opportunity to see some Anthony Pittman defensively. I don't think we've seen him in a regular season. So this is kind of like a possible debut for Anthony Pittman defensively. And we know when these coordinators say it, usually you see it. So expect to see maybe an Anthony Pittman sighting in this game. And then, of course, throughout the deep shot that Jerry Jacobs gave up. But he said, like, Jerry Jacobs is built to last. Because, I mean, he's a real sturdy player, the way that he's built. He helps us in the run game, the way that he can tackle. He's physical. But on that deep play that he gave up, he's like, you got to know that the receiver tells the story. I mean, he was worried about PI because, look, PI is crazy in the NFL. I mean, there's so many pass interference calls. It's hard for defensive backs. But he's like, when that receiver is, like, looking back and slowing down for football, you got to know the ball was underthrown, so you got to get your head turned around. And that was the one that Jefferson had that huge completion on. First off, they like both of their kickers. Riley Patterson's playing well, though, so it does sound like Riley Patterson's going to be the guy going forward unless something goes bad there, and hopefully not, because they do like both these kickers. He said we scouted him coming out of college, and Aldrick Rosas was a Pro Bowler, as we said a couple of years ago. He was really good, so it's just competition there. The Lions are protecting Rosas, so they're keeping that competition going. And he also talked about the special teams. He said, when I retire, get involved in possibly changing some of the punting stats, the net average, because he said right now it's a little bit skewed. If you kick a punt at the 40-yard line versus kicking at their own 1, there's no difference in how the statistics play out. So net average yards per punt, things like that, not exact. He was talking about possibly having it so like, okay, from the 1 to 39-yard line, that's his own type of punt versus having it at your, opponent's 45-yard line. Also, that big kick return they gave up, he said, man, I wish we could have that one back. It's usually a lot of things going wrong. But we wouldn't have gave that up again. To Jack Fox for what he's been doing as a holder. Apparently that 49-yard field goal, the stat wasn't the best of the day, but Jack Fox did his job getting it down. I didn't know this, but I guess Aldrick Rosas likes it with a little more tilt, and Riley Patterson likes a little bit more vertical. Final notes here from Vic Fangio, the Broncos head coach. He did talk about Bryce Callahan, their slot corner. He said when he does come back, he'll go back to the slot position. He'll push Kyle Fuller out. But he said with Bryce Callahan, because remember, he just began his 21-day period yesterday to return off of injury reserved and be brought back to the active roster. Well, he practiced today. He said he did fine in practice. They're going to, increase his workload, and then tomorrow they'll go through it and see where he's at, make a decision, because usually this is at least a week thing. This would be a super fast return. We've had a couple of guys with a 21-day period situation. He could be back this week. He just got taken over yesterday. That's crazy. So that's kind of my final note I thought I'd just throw in there. Guys that we thought maybe wouldn't play, looks like they're going to play, and now they could get Bryce Callahan back to that mix, their top slot corner. Anyways, that's all I got for this one, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Check us out on Last Second Sports tonight for Last Second Dose. Thank you, Prop, for watching, and I'm out.